A couple I worked with last year fell in love with a condo in East Vancouver. Great price, perfect neighborhood. They put in an offer, but after going through the strata docs, they realized there's going to be a special assessment notice for $67,000. The building had been hiding in envelope repair for years. And that kind of thing happens in Vancouver more than you think. And today I'm going to make sure it does not happen to you. I'm going to walk you through the 7 types of condos and homes that I personally warn every single one of my buyers to avoid. And it's not because they can't be dealt with, but because most buyers don't even know to ask the right questions until it's too late. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Sasha Hahn, a Vancouver realtor who has helped tons of buyers navigate one of the most expensive and complex real estate markets in Canada. I make these videos so that buyers like you can walk into the market actually prepared, not just excited and hopeful. Now let's get into it. Number 1, most of us know it, it's leaky condos. Buildings from the 1980s to late 1990s era. If you don't know what the leaky condo crisis is, here's the short version. From the early 80s through the late 90s, a huge number of buildings in Vancouver were constructed with flat roofs, stucco cladding, and without proper moisture barriers or rain screen technology. The problem, we live in a rainforest. Water got in and it could not get out. Wood would rot in silence. Thousands of buildings were affected, and while many have been remediated, meaning repaired, many have not. These buildings can look completely fine from the outside, but inside, the walls, mold, rot, 50 to 100K in special assessments waiting for the new owners. So how do you protect yourself? Always request a building envelope inspection report before purchasing any condo built between the 80s and late 90s. Read the last 2 years of strata minutes. Look for any mention of envelope leak, water remediation, or special levy. Ask if the building has been remediated, when, and by whom, and get documentation for that. Number 2, homes with Poly B plumbing. Poly B was installed in homes from condos built between the 1990s and 1980s. It's a type of flexible plastic piping, usually gray, and it was marketed as modern, affordable alternative to copper. The problem is that the plastic materials would degrade over time, especially with Vancouver's water chemistry. When these pipes fail, they don't just drip, they can burst catastrophically. There was a class action lawsuit by the manufacturer paid out across Canada, but many buildings still have it in, and many insurance companies won't either insure it or will request you to replace it by the time you move in. In a high-rise condo, costs are shared, but the headache is real, and it makes a mess to get the work done. So how do you protect yourself? Ask the seller directly. Ask the strata corporation, has piping been replaced? Look through the depreciation report. Look under the sinks. If you see that gray plastic piping, that's usually a good indicator that it's Poly B. Number 3, and this one I said would surprise people, and it's homes in low-lying flood zones, especially Richmond. Richmond is a beautiful city, great schools, amazing food scene, easy airport access, and it's also entirely below sea level. The entire city sits on a river delta and is protected by systems of dikes. And that's not a secret, but a lot of first-time homebuyers don't actually think through what that means long-term. You cannot build a basement in most Richmond homes. Flood, extreme weather events is a growing risk. Flood insurance is becoming harder to get and more expensive. And as climate risks get priced into mortgages and insurance over the next decade, properties in flood zones may become harder to finance and sell. Parts of Delta, South Surrey, and low-lying areas of Burnaby and Coquitlam also carry similar concerns. This isn't to say you can never buy in Richmond. People live well there, but you need to go in with eyes open about the flood risks, insurance cost, and what the world looks like for that property in 10 to 20 years down the road. So how do you protect yourself? Check the municipality's flood hazard maps before buying in any low-lying area. Get flood insurance quotes before putting in an offer, not after. Ask about the property's flood history and designated floodplain status. Number 4 is properties near contaminated sites. Vancouver has been growing and redeveloping for over a century. A lot of land that used to be industrial, commercial, or agricultural has been converted to residential, and sometimes what was there before leaves a legacy in the soil. Dry cleaners, gas stations, auto shops, paint factories, these businesses use chemicals that seeped into the ground, and if a home was later built or near that land, the contamination can still be there. Contaminated sites can be nearly impossible to get a mortgage on. You may face remediation, liability, and they can be a serious health concern. BC has a public site registry that lists known contaminated and potentially contaminated properties, and most buyers never check it. So, how do you protect yourself? Search the BC site registry in the link below for the property address. Look at historical Google Street View and aerial maps to see what used to be there. If anything looks questionable, get a Phase 1 environmental done on the property. Site assessment as a condition of purchase. And number 5, we have strata buildings with depleted contingency reserve funds. When you buy a strata unit in BC, whether it is a condo or a townhome, you become part of a corporation that is collectively responsible for maintaining the building. Every month, a portion of your strata fees goes into a reserve fund to cover the major repairs, roof, elevator, and parking structure, and the windows. Some strata corporations have been underfunding this account for years to keep monthly fees low. When a big repair comes due, and it always comes due, there's not enough money in the fund, so they issue a special assessment. Every owner writes a check. Could be $5K, could be $50K. BC now requires strata corporations to have a depreciation report done every 3 years. This report tells you the state of the building and how well funded the CRF is. Not enough buyers actually read them. So, how do you protect yourself? Always request the depreciation report and compare the current CRF balance to the report recommends. Read the last 2 years of strata meeting minutes for any mention of special assessments, deferred maintenance, or upcoming major projects. Ask, has the strata waived depreciation reports in the past? If yes, that could be a red flag. Number 6 on the list, we have character homes with knob and tube wiring. Vancouver has a lot of beautiful old homes, craftsman bungalows, heritage houses, 1930s character homes in Kitts or Mount Pleasant. I love them. A lot of buyers fall in love with them. And some of those homes are hiding an electrical system that was installed when Franklin Roosevelt was president. Knob and tube wiring. When knob and tube wiring was a standard electrical system until the 1940s and 50s. It has no ground wire. The insulation has often degraded over decades. It was never designed to handle the electrical loads of a modern home. Dishwashers, EV chargers, air conditioning, and most importantly, many insurance companies in BC refuse to insure homes with active knob and tube wiring, or they charge massive premiums. Replacing the electrical panel and rewiring a whole house can run 20 to 40K. That's a big number to find out after you've already committed to the purchase. So how do you protect yourself? For any home built before 1960s, specifically ask your inspector to assess the electrical systems. You may find it's uninsurable as is. If you love the home, price in the full electrical upgrade cost and negotiate accordingly. Number 7, homes with unpermitted renovations or illegal suites. Your scrolling listings and mortgage helper in the description. That's the code phrase for a basement suite. Many of those units were built without permits. The seller added a kitchen, put up some walls, rented it out. Great rental income on paper. Here's the problem. If that work was done without permits, the city can make you tear it out. Your insurance company may not cover a fire or flood that originates in the unpermitted area. When you go to sell, you either disclose it and deal with the same issue, or you're potentially liable for non-disclosure. And if the electrical or plumbing in the suite is not up to code, you're a liability risk. So unpermitted renovations upstairs are a problem too. Structural walls removed without engineering sign-off, additions built without permits, These show up in the inspections and can be expensive or impossible to legalize. So how do you protect yourself? Pull the building permit history directly from the city. It's public record and usually available online. Ask your inspector to flag any work that appears to have been done without permits. If there's an illegal suite, talk to a lawyer about disclosure obligations and how to structure the deal properly. Alrighty, so to recap, the 7 types of homes I tell every Vancouver buyer to be cautious of. Leaky condos from the 1980s to late 1990s era, homes with poly B plumbing, properties in low-lying flood zones like Richmond, homes near contaminated sites, stratas with depleted reserve funds, character homes with knob and tube wiring, and homes with unpermitted renovations or illegal suites. Look, none of these are instant deal killers. Some of the best deals in Vancouver involve homes with one or more of these issues. If you know what you're doing and you price them in properly, but there are things you need to know before you remove subjects, not after. That's the whole point. So if you're buying in Vancouver and you want someone in your corner who actually knows this stuff, there's a link in the description to book a free buyer consultation with me. No pitch, just a conversation about what you're looking for and whether we can help. Drop a comment below and tell me which one of these surprised you the most.